This time last year, I did not recognize myself. I felt so lost and kind of afraid, like I didn't really know my place in the world anymore. And I wanted to share this story with you today because if you've been feeling lost or stuck, or you've just been in your head a lot recently, and you've ever had to rebuild yourself from scratch, this episode is for you. This episode is for you because I'm going to tell you the story of my becoming in the last year. Hey Angel, welcome to Becoming Tabitha, my soft corner of the internet where I finally let myself breathe out loud. This isn't a podcast for answers or perfect advice, it's more like an audio diary. The honest thoughts, the quiet shifts, the identity changes I'm still figuring out, and all of the parts of myself I'm slowly getting to know. Nothing needs to be polished here. Just get cozy, slow down with me for a moment, and let's be human together while we become, gently, side by side. Let's dive into today's episode. So, pretty much a year ago and a few months now, I went through a massive pivotal moment in my life, and I really did just want to sit down and talk about it with you today because I'm sure you will have had probably a similar experience or you will go through something similar in your life. It's a very normal thing. So, this time last year, I had a breakup and I was with this ex for 7 years. So, it was a pretty long time, but it was also very important years of my life. We got together when I was 16, and obviously, like, those 7 years, they shape so much of who you are, who you become, and they really are just about finding yourself. And I think because I was tabby in the relationship, I really didn't feel like I got to grow much out of the relationship, and I kind of had that specific identity to fulfill. It became such like, this is just who I am. This is just who I am. And it just was my normal. Like everything was so normal. Like that person just became my identity, my life. And I didn't realize until I went through that breakup, kind of the part of myself that I really shrank. Like my personality, my interests, my confidence. And it just felt like when I had that breakup and I got to the other end of that and I was like, oh, who am I? And it came with so many emotions. Obviously, like navigating a breakup is so difficult anyway. But then realizing that I had no idea who I was without this person in my life, it was life changing, to be honest. And it kind of catapulted a whole lot of growth for me. And now looking back, like obviously like a year on, a year and 3 months on, I can honestly say I have done so much growth this last year. And I feel like I'm one of those people, like I'm really big into like identity work and self-improvement and just learning and educating and growing anyway. But that definitely got catapulted as soon as I had that breakup because I finally had to find out what my identity was without this person in my life. And obviously, like going through a breakup is really hard. It's so difficult anyway. And I felt so fearful, so confused. Like, who even am I now? That was like the thought process that was going on. And obviously, the grief of losing that person, but also the routine, the safety, and just like realizing that the future that you thought you're going to have, like, that wasn't the reality anymore and sitting there kind of with a blank canvas like, who am I? What's my future going to look like? Who am I going to be? It's such a big thing. Such a big thing. And honestly, I just had no idea how to be human. Like, I felt like I wasn't even a real person. I didn't know how to be alone with myself. I obviously like I spoke a lot about like my health complications and things. Like I had IBS, it was really bad, but I also had suspected endometriosis as well. And every single month when I was on my period, I would pass out in pain, and I was at A&E like all the time. And magically, within a few months of the breakup, the passing out and the really painful periods, they actually stopped for me. And I really, really think, from doing a lot of research into this now, I really think that was all to do with a dysregulated nervous system. When you're in that fight or flight and you're so stressed and anxious all of the time, I think your body really holds on to that. And there was also so much else going on, but obviously, like, so much in my life just completely just took like a 180. Like, I was like, whoa, this is all new, this is scary, this is it really did feel like a blank canvas. Like, I really had to figure out what paint I was going to put on that canvas now. Like, what was it going to look like? And obviously, that can be a really liberating thing. But for me, that was absolutely terrifying. I didn't know how to be. I really didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to walk out of my house and be. I didn't really know the rules and regulations of my life anymore. And I was so used to being in the routines that I was into. Like, it just became so unusual. I really felt so alien. And I definitely had an identity crisis. Like, who was Tabby without this 7-year relationship? And I actually really did feel kind of behind compared to other people my age, because, a lot of people my age, they'd had the last however long to find out who they are, what they liked, what they wanted to do. And obviously, I had a little bit of that, but I really felt behind, and I felt embarrassed that I was kind of starting over and being behind other people. Like, I had never really drank before. Like, I was, how old was I? Where am I now? I was 23, is that right? Turning 23. I was turning 23, and I had never had a drink before, other than like occasional, like, this is a drink with your meal type thing. Like, I was never one that would go out drinking. I'd never been to a club before. All of these kind of things that felt like a rite of passage. I'd never experienced them, and I did feel like weird. I felt more like an outcast now that I was out of that relationship, because when I was in that relationship, we were both like that together. And it kind of made me realize that I didn't realize I'd been performing for so long, like someone that I didn't like. Like, I didn't like myself. And I think that really massively contributed to the end of the relationship as well. But I kind of just had like a massive turning point. Like, one day I just woke up and I realized, wait, maybe like having this breakup is a beginning, is a fresh start, and maybe that's a good thing. Because now I get to find out who I am, what I like, what I want to do. I mean, obviously, I was already self employed, already had my own business. And it really did just feel like everything was kind of unaligned in my life. And I felt like I finally was able to have the time and the space, the mental capacity to experience the life that most other people my age had already experienced. Like, going out drinking, going out doing these things, making mistakes, figuring out who I am, finding my own independence, like separate from being in a relationship. And that kind of shifted everything for me. And it kind of started like, I don't think it was a whole year, but probably like 8 months of chaotic Tabby. Like, everything I wanted to try, I shoved into those 8 months. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And thankfully, I didn't have to grieve the relationship for too long, because I really felt like I grieved most of it while I was in the relationship, because I was the one doing the breaking up. And obviously, making that decision and doing it are two very different things. So I really sat with that for a good few months. I mean, this was a 7-year relationship. I wasn't about to, put this down the drain over, like a whim. So I definitely felt like I grieved most of it before I ended the relationship, which thankfully gave me more time after the breakup to kind of just sit with myself and be like, well, I've mostly grieved it now. Like, what do I do from here? Like, what am I supposed to do? And to be honest, that did come with a lot of grief, because I was like, aren't I supposed to be more sad than this? But everybody like is on their own timeline, and I really felt that. But yeah, those next like 8 months ish, like, I did try everything. I honestly went through so many hoops that I probably wouldn't even be able to remember them all as I'm speaking now. Like, I was going through a songwriting phase. I, I went through a dating phase where I dated a bunch of people. It was horrible. That was my first ever experience with online dating, obviously. That wasn't great. I went out drinking, partying, clubbing, got drunk for the first time, and now I can't drink Pepsi. Like, I I did all the things. It's like I had like a bucket list in my head and they were all just like getting shot out. It was like the world was on fire and I was running. That is really how it felt. And it got to like however long, maybe like 8 months of doing all those things. And I don't know what happened. I just woke up one day and I thought, okay, this isn't aligned anymore. And it's like I got it out of my system. It was like I've tried it, I've done it, I'm moving on. I actually want to find who I am now. It's like I've done the things, let me discover my personality, who I am, what I want to do, all of these things. And it was like another pivotal turning point for me. And I definitely just had like a random breakthrough. And I think a lot of that kind of came with like my spirituality and kind of just like listening to my intuition, journaling a lot. All of these things definitely like made a massive difference in my life to finding out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, and just trying to like come home to myself basically. And I finally kind of gave myself permission to explore the things that I actually wanted to do and wanted to be. I did a lot of identity work essentially, and I journaled a lot around like who do I want to be? What are the characteristics that I want to have? What are the like aspirations, the hobbies, like what are the things I want to do? Who do I want to become? Like what do I want to experience? And I really like journaled a lot about this, and that is kind of when I started to like untangle myself from like the ropes of who I thought I should be and how I thought I should and had to like kind of show up in the world. Like I ticked the things off, like I'd done the drinking, and I realized that that really wasn't aligned with me. Like I am someone that really, really, really cares about her health, and it felt kind of icky after this point, and I was just like, oh, why am I doing that to myself? That doesn't feel like an act of self love. And that's not saying I never have a drink now, but it's like very rare. Like maybe once like every I don't know, I don't want to say 6 months because it hasn't been that long since I was out drinking. But like it really is that kind of energy of like I don't feel the need to do it anymore because I just know that it's not aligned with me. And that's okay. Like if you want to do it, that's on you. Like but it just isn't for me. And I really had to give myself permission to show up as that person who stereotypically is a bit lame. Like when I go out with friends and things now and there's other people around me drinking, and I'm just like, I don't want to drink. I'm just going to be that person that is happy with their J2O. Like that is just who I am. And I'm learning to be okay with that. And it is like just an act of self-love, and it makes me feel really proud of myself when I'm in those situations and I don't feel the pressure to perform to be liked. And that has made such a big difference of kind of being so self-aware in who I am and how I want to show up, and honestly making kind of like a rule book. It's not really a rule book, but it's kind of like because I know who I want to be and who I am, that those are kind of like given me guidelines to how I show up in the world. Like I don't want to be someone who drinks, so I'm not going to drink. And it really is just like those little things. And also things like I've really gotten into like Korean things. Like I'm learning Korean. I watch a lot of K-dramas. I'm obsessed with K-pop. Like all of that world, I didn't give myself permission because I had had hurtful comments in the past from people when I said like, oh, like I'm watching K-dramas and like, oh, you have to be careful with that because there's that big connotation around being like a career boo and all these things. And I'm just like, well, I enjoy the culture, I enjoy the things. And I've had to give myself permission to do the things that I want to do and to love the things I want to do and not care what other people think, even if it does come with like this stereotype of who they think I should be if I like these certain things. And it's been such a journey, such a journey. And it really just started with choosing me again, like deciding fully that I would love and accept myself in any version of myself, but I had to be authentic to myself. And honestly, this past year has really came with learning to sit with myself, and that has probably been the most pivotal thing. Like literally, when I first went through that breakup, I couldn't even like go places by myself. I wasn't used to driving alone, so that was like incredibly scary. It was something I had to overcome. I wasn't used to going in like Starbucks or coffee shops or like cafes, whatever. I wasn't used to doing any of that alone, ordering alone, being alone, going for walks alone, going to the cinema alone. I had to learn how to enjoy my own company again. And that came with like a massive thing because having anxiety, these things are like blown massively out of proportion, and felt like it was like world ending. And I had to realize, like, okay, Tabby, like it's actually not that big of a deal. You're actually okay. Nothing bad's gonna happen. And if it does, you have to trust yourself to deal with it because you've always got yourself. I really just had to find who I was. And that even was like finding my voice online as well, like finding who I was online in my business. And naturally, because so much else had kind of ended for me, like versions of myself, the relationship, like who I was, it came with so many ends. Obviously, I felt like a whole new person. Like this was like Tabby 5.0. And with that, it actually came with me closing my small business, like my like actual job that I'd built up for like 3 years. Like I just realized one day that it just wasn't aligned with who I am and what I want anymore. And that came with so much grief. And I've talked about this in like other episodes and things, but it was such like a massive deal for me because I put my heart, my soul, my everything, all of my time into building this business, because building a business is so hard, especially when it's local and you've only got like a smaller pool of people. And I had to like make peace with that, make peace with the change and the shifts and in all of that type of thing. And that was really hard too. That was probably one of the hardest things I had to do was close my skin clinic. And now I'm obviously building like an online presence still, but it's from not pretending anymore. And not that I was massively pretending before, it's just nothing felt authentic. And I really had to reconnect with like my feminine energy, like my softness, like who I am. And obviously, this means showing up like with no filters, no pretending, just being authentically me in any way that means. Like, if I like K pop, I'm going to share about like these things that I'm loving about K pop at the moment. Like these are the books I'm reading. I'm like these are the kind of things that I'm like showing up with now. Whereas before I would be like, oh, this doesn't align with me being the skin professional. Like I can't do this. I can't be a real person outside of this identity. And now it's like I've unzipped that and I've gotten rid of that. Like it's in the bin. And now I'm just like, no, like I'm just Tabby. I'm someone that cares about skin. I'm someone that's vegan, loves like Korean stuff, learning Korean, loves crocheted things, loves girly pink things. Like all of these things are me. And I finally given myself permission to just love that and accept that, like in whatever way that means for me. And it's kind of just that reminder that confidence comes from living honestly, not from looking perfect or being perfect or acting a certain way and trying to fit yourself into a box just to be perceived correctly in the eyes of the beholder. And the version of like me, like the version of Tabby that exists today versus the girl in that relationship, there is just no comparison. Like I really don't recognize that version of me. I don't even recognize like versions of me from like 4 months ago because the growth has been exponential. Like it's been so much growth, so much growth, and I'm just so much calmer, clearer, like on who I am and like moving through life with more intention, more softness, more presence. And honestly, this has really like ricocheted into every aspect of my life as well. Like my skin has been doing better, my gut is calmer, IBS is like barely ever there. Like my emotional baseline is all improved because I stopped self-abandoning. And I finally learned how to come home to myself and realize who I am. And it all really just stems from my relationship with my identity, my wellness, and my purpose as well. And I'm honestly so grateful that I took such a big leap to restart my life again, because that's essentially what that breakup was. It was the rebirth of Tabitha. Like, that is what it was. And I'm really grateful for all of the experiences that I've had this last year, because it's taught me so much about just being a human and how much grace and softness and love and compassion we have to have for ourselves in every stage of our being. Because I don't I don't dislove the version of myself from a year ago. Like, I still have so much compassion and respect for her, because every single version of me has brought me to where I am today. And even if that version looked messy or chaotic or she wasn't aligned with me, I still respect her because she's still a part of me. And that is like a really important thing, I think, to kind of think about when you're going through all of these things, that you can love yourself and you should love yourself in the becoming. Like, I'm still not everything that I want to be yet, but that's okay, because I know that I'm getting there and every single thing that I'm doing and being is aligned with who I am. And I hope you realize that too, that you're not behind, you're becoming. So if you're going through heartbreak or identity loss or anything as such, just remember that you're not broken. You're literally shedding like these layers of yourself. You're like a caterpillar in a cocoon, and someday soon you're going to be able to spread your wings. Healing doesn't happen by forcing, it happens by returning to yourself. And obviously, to do that, you just have to figure out who you are. And obviously, meditation is great for that, sitting with yourself, journaling. Maybe look at like a part of your life, like where you feel like you're abandoning yourself. Sit with yourself and think, am I feeling any negative emotions about this? Why? Is it because I'm not being true to myself? Is it because I'm overgiving? But thank you for holding space with me today. I hope maybe some of this like story resonated with you and hopefully made you feel not so alone in your becoming, because it is such a hard journey. And I would obviously love to hear your story as well. So please like message me or tag me or whatever. I'd love to hear from you. But just remember that we are not healing to become, we're healing to return. Week for another episode of Becoming Tabitha. See you then. Bye.